Women in Medicine, Elizabeth Garret Anderson. The objectives for this lesson is who was Elizabeth Garret Anderson, and secondly, why was she so important? That issue of significance again of an individual. In this lesson you will have read the information on Elizabeth Garret Anderson, and you will have completed the biography of Elizabeth Garret Anderson. You will have used the additional information sheet on possibly her friends to identify the reasons why she would have been friends with these particular people and providing me with a reason, the analysis, which takes us up through Bloom's, and finally you may have done the additional questions to stretch you on Elizabeth Garret Anderson. As an extension, we can contemplate who was more significant in the history of medicine, Nightingale, who you studied previously, or Elizabeth Garret Anderson. And the literacy element in this lesson will be reading the biographies, which are supported by other online films available on this page. Please pause. Firstly, you are now required to watch the following clip, which will also be on the website that is hosting this particular presentation. What was the traditional role of women in the 19th century? Please pause. Now I'd like you to contemplate and discuss the following. A fact of the National Health Service. In 2002, 60% of all trainee doctors in Britain were women. 150 years previously, there were none. What must have changed in order to explain this particular statement? Please pause. A variety of things must have changed in order to make this possible. There must have been changing attitudes towards the role of women in a male-dominated society. Men must have agreed that women can do as good a job as a man, and subsequently they should be allowed to train. The idea that women should have remained at home and looking after the family is also an idea that must have changed. Additionally, women must have had access to education that they had been denied previously. If you remember, only Florence Nightingale and Elizabeth Garret Anderson are the women that we've studied so far in the entire history of medicine. Finally, there must have been more training available for women to become doctors. There must have been more places in the medical colleges. Please pause. Women in medicine. Women continue to treat their families' ailments using handed-down remedies. In 1852, all doctors had to join one of the colleges of physicians, surgeons, or apothecaries under the Medical Registration Act. Women, however, were clearly not allowed to join. The law said so. Some women, however, did fight to be allowed to become doctors. Some made huge breakthroughs, such as Elizabeth Garret Anderson, who became the first woman doctor. Please pause. Your task then. Read the information sheet on Elizabeth Garret Anderson and use the information to complete the following Facebook page in as much detail as you can. Please remember that this will need to be stapled into the relevant page of your booklet. Extension, please use the medical textbook, the black GCSE History Medicine Through Time textbook, for more depth, or use the additional videos that are linked to this page. You are on this sheet required to infer and speculate for higher order thinking. Additionally, what difficulties did women face in their pursuit to become doctors? Down here at the bottom are some additional prompts that you can consider to help you fill out this particular sheet. Over here is where you will provide the information on the friends, which is the next task. Please pause. Please add the pictures in here and provide a written explanation somewhere down here in the margin, explaining why they would have been her friends. Task 2. Use the picture sheet. Cut out the people Elizabeth Garret Anderson would have been friends with and stick them onto the profile sheet, your Facebook profile sheet that you have just been shown in the previous task. For each one, explain why they would be friends. If time doesn't allow, simply write in their names and provide an explanation in the margin as to why they would have been friends. But if I remind Please leave any of the individuals with whom she wouldn't have been friends out. But you may be asked to explain why you have left them out. Again, this would be showing analysis, higher order thinking to at least a grade C or higher. Please pause. Now we reach the creative part of the task. Pull the information that you've learnt together and write for me, please, a PEA paragraph explaining how important, how significant Elizabeth Garrett Anderson is to the history of medicine. Framed as a 9-mark question, this would require 2 PEA paragraphs. In this task, you are asked to write the 1, but please be aware you could be asked to write the 2, and in doing so, you would need to be expecting to write 2 PEA paragraphs, ranking them and linking them as well. Okay, please follow the PEA pro forma as is provided here. Please pause. Additionally then, some extra questions. Why were the poor more ready to accept women doctors than the rich? Read the sources provided. What other factors helped in allowing more women to become doctors after Elizabeth Garrett Anderson? And finally, do you think Elizabeth Garrett Anderson or Florence Nightingale's influence was the most important factor in changing the role of women as doctors?